if you are attacking Miss Rachel, if you are attacking this woman who makes statements like, please stop killing children, who posts photos of babies who are starving, who are living under dire circumstances. If you have smoke for this woman, you are a piece of shit. You are a complete and total piece of shit. You do not deserve the air to breathe. You do not deserve to be called anything other than a total fucking piece of shit. Yeah, someone asked those 2-year-olds if they condemn Hamas. That's what we need to do. You know what? That's what we need to be doing in the preschools, okay? Forget about the ABCs. Forget about learning to count. Forget about nap time and snacks. No. Babies come in, and the first thing that they need to do is condemn Hamas. All right, let's watch Miss Rachel on ZTO.
Like millions of other Americans just seeing these horrific, tragic videos.
The framing on this headline, is this the one where it says she doubles down? Yeah, Miss Rachel doubles down. This is wild framing. Miss Rachel doubles down on support for children in Gaza. So the reason this is wild is because doubles down is frequently used in the context of someone who's been canceled, someone who has like done a bad, who's doubling down on it. So it's wild to use that. It's wild for NBC to use that phrasing to talk about Miss Rachel, like reinforcing her belief that children should not be suffering. Children should not be enduring starvation and bombs. Wild. Yeah, crazy. I mean, that's on the tamer side. Okay, Fox News is straight up calling her a Hamas soldier. Okay, anyway.
Videos.
The idea
thank you for 5
caring
months.
for a group of children in an emergency situation means you don't care about other children is false.
Are Palestinian children less human than other
what?
children? Should we care less about them? I don't quite get where the controversy is coming from.
It's sad that people try to make it controversial when you speak out for children that are facing immeasurable suffering.
I'm sure you have a lot of good people in your lives who are saying to you, just be quiet. It's not worth it. What do you say to them?
Our compassion doesn't have boundaries or borders. We just love kids.
Why do you feel this urge
Whoa.
to speak out for Sudanese
Whoa.
kids and Haitian kids? And right now, obviously, the kids who are suffering most in the world, the Gazan kids.
Silence wasn't a choice for me.
Also, if you do not know who Miss Rachel is, she is probably the most famous YouTuber for babies. She's a New York-based educator, has millions and millions of followers, subscribers on YouTube, billions of views on her videos, and she's a learner of babies, and parents love her. Parents love her videos. Kids love her. Reminder, she's also Jewish, right? But it doesn't matter, because if you're not supporting Israel's murder of children, then you're Hamas. My baby loves her. We love her.
Chances are you've heard about Miss Rachel, the children's educator who's taken the world by storm.
What the F?
Whether or not you have toddlers, by now chances are you've heard about Miss Rachel, the children's educator who's taken the world by storm. With more than 14 million subscribers on YouTube and billions of views worldwide, Miss Rachel has become a superstar in children's entertainment, teaching them everything from how to sound out syllables to learning more about their emotions. But Miss Rachel has not just garnered attention for her educational videos, she's become an outspoken advocate for children in Gaza who've been displaced, starved, injured, and killed in their thousands, more than 15,000 in Israel's offensive. After speaking out about the plight of Gaza's children, Miss Rachel has been thrust into the center of some very unfair online controversy. And I'm delighted to say
Wild
she
that
joins
that's
me now.
the case.
Rachel, thanks so much for joining us on the show. And I feel like I should introduce you as Rachel Accurso, your actual name.
Thank you so much. That was beautiful.
At end of day, you should have voted Kamala.
pronunciation.
I butcher everyone's names. So it's good. I'm just going to go with Miss Rachel. It's safer now. Before we get to Gaza, I've got to say, every parent who found out that I was interviewing you today, everyone I know, friends, family, who found out, Miss Rachel? I said, I'm interviewing Miss Rachel. They went crazy in a way that I've not seen people in my community, in my friends and family. I mean, I've interviewed Hollywood celebrities, world leaders. But when I said your name, I've not had a reaction like that. People are like, what, can I come? Can I be there? Can I see her? How have you become such a global phenomenon for kids and their parents in such a short space of time? Just the last decade?
It was truly by accident, but I'm so privileged to be able to connect with so many little ones, and I just love my job. But we actually, when we started, we didn't know that so many kids watch YouTube.
Yeah.
I grew up with just regular TV, and we had like this thing where you turned it and you had like 3 channels. So I didn't know so many kids watched on YouTube, but I did know that I had trouble finding resources for my son, and he's such a visual learner. I thought that some of the things I was learning to help him would benefit other little ones. And I had him watch the show.
You say by accident, so I think you went on YouTube in 2016, a YouTube channel. So were you thinking that, okay, this is the best way to get to other kids, YouTube is the way forward?
No, I didn't know that. I just thought maybe I'll help some kids. And
how did you want to help them?
It wasn't like an overnight success. Well, I knew that my son really benefited from a slower paced show. I used to make him his own show. And actually I would take, like, he'd be watching a show he likes, and then I'd edit it and be like, it's mommy here to like teach you something. So anyway,
this woman is so sweet. There's few people who have energy like her where you just go, no, this woman is an angel. Okay. She's not capable. She's not capable of any cruelty, because you know what? The world will have ended. The world will have ended if we ever find out that Miss Rachel is actually evil. And I don't mean evil in the way that, the Fox News is trying to make you think she is because she thinks killing children is bad. Like, Miss Rachel being legitimately canceled, the world is done, okay? Like, it's over. That's it. We pack it up.
Methods I was learning to help him with a severe speech delay would benefit other kids, which are leaving space for them to answer and doing fill-ins like ready, set, go. That really helped him. Just a slow pace. And
you mentioned it wasn't an overnight success. Am I right in saying that the pandemic,
the COVID,
Zodiac the lockdowns, killer. That whole period, really, you just ramped up in that period? A lot of people came to find you then in that moment.
Well, I think so. I think people were home, and I think speech therapy was virtual, and it was tough, and some people didn't have access to it. I have to give a shout out to my amazing husband, because he was off of Broadway for 18 months, I believe. So we lived in his parents' basement.
Theater kids.
We had
the basement is the best place to produce content.
It was bigger than our apartment. So yes, and somebody was like, I'd love to come to your television studio. And I was like, it's my in-laws' basement. But so he had a lot of time, and he jumped in. He jumps into all my projects, whether they're successful or when they weren't successful at all. We've always done that for each other. So he used to help me with tracks for teaching music in public school and put everything into it for those kids, and it just hasn't changed. So
you were a school teacher at one point.
Love
just for people
real.
Who only know you from YouTube, what is your background? Have you always loved working with kids?
I have. So I started when I was 18. I was an assistant preschool teacher at a school for kids with disabilities, and they totally transformed me. I just loved it. I was like, just amazed that I could be excited to go into a job, and seeing their progress was so exciting.
Fuck you! Wow.
It definitely, my supervisor said in a letter, you have a rare gift that I don't often see with kids. And I was like, oh, wow, like maybe I have a gift for this. And I knew that it felt like a calling for me.
I know.
So I found other jobs working with kids, and eventually I studied to become a certified music teacher. And then I got another master's in early childhood inspired by my little boy in the show, because I knew if I was going to be this teacher to kids in this crucial time, I wanted to have all the knowledge, early childhood knowledge I could.
She
You
is
have
a
2 kids
menace
now.
to society.
Yes, I do.
That's awesome.
My
You
world.
You clearly
Both my worlds.
love kids, not just your own. It's obvious to anyone who's seen you online.
Don't
and now
fall for it, you
meeting
guys.
in
Yeah,
person.
don't fall for it.
You have 2 kids of your own. Is that why you decided to speak out about what's happening in Gaza, specifically with children in Gaza, because of what's happening to the kids there?
I do think being a mother makes you put yourself in that situation. And I think my background in early childhood makes me think about that crucial brain development time of 0 to 3. So if you're being malnourished and you're seeing trauma and you're losing your family, that's a really crucial time of brain development. So I think about that. And then I think just empathy for all kids, which I've always had.
A lot of people, I know a lot of people, I've been covering the conflict professionally for 20 years. I've been following it since I was a teenager, something I've been interested in. But a lot of people I know
These are clearly coded messages back to Hamas intelligence agency superiors. Yeah.
came to the Middle East conflict, came to Gaza, Israel, after October 7th, seeing the horrors of what happened on October the 7th, and then seeing the horrors since. A lot of people came via Instagram, watching social media videos in their feeds of children under the rubble, missing limbs, kids mourning their parents, parents mourning their kids. And I'm just wondering, is it something you followed always, or did you also, like millions of other Americans, come to this via social media, just seeing these horrific, tragic videos in social media?
So I didn't know much before. And I was just horrified by October 7th. And then I just tried to listen and learn. And I still am doing that with friends and people.
You mean this was a person who didn't know about Israel and Palestine. And she saw what happened on October 7th and went, "My God, this is horrifying," as a lot of people felt. But rather than just assume that it was violence that happened in a vacuum, that there was no history preceding this, she, in her own words, listened and learned. She was a person who went, "Why did this happen? Why did this violence occur? What's going on here?" And that is what the United States and Israel have been trying so hard to keep people from. They do not want the masses. They do not want them to know the truth. They do not want them to know the history. They want them to believe the narrative that they have presented to them for a very long time. And it's like the NYU student said in his speech, "We have watched this genocide be live streamed." So there are a lot of people like Miss Rachel who could not ignore what she was seeing on her feed. And it was devastatingly horrific. It caused her, like it caused a lot of people, to be so disgusted and distressed that they had to speak out about it. That was the natural response, was to see this and go, "This is wrong."
So I had been working with Save the Children prior. When the show became successful, I got an agent, and my agent was like,
It's funny because Mehdi's takes on Israel Palestine are sometimes god awful. Yeah, he gets smoke, and a lot of times I think it's fair.
"Tell me about what you want to do." And I was like, "I want to be connected."
Also, I will say, it's like, this is an issue that he's a person who, for the most part, and for a very long time, has been one of the voices that has been speaking on the topic, not from a solidly pro-Israel perspective. And this kind of gets into my thoughts around like the infighting amongst advocacy for Palestinians. He generally uses his platform for the better. So I guess yes, and ultimately, like that to me is the most important thing. He's also visibly Muslim Arab. Yeah, and he got fired. Like he was fired for the things that he was saying, which is why he formed ZTO News. So the way he has to navigate the media is also very different. Ultimately, he's pro-Palestine, and that is good. Yes. Is he a two-state solution guy? No, not that I'm aware of.
To charities, and I want to do.
He was a standard MSNBC lib. Yes, but he stood his ground on this issue that you can tell he cares about.
Work helping children. So I got involved with Save the Children.
Great charity.
Yeah, and I was learning from their team and their CEO about a lot of things going on with children.
Sorry, he's not. Sorry, I was reading that chat, and that was incorrect. He's not Arab. Mehdi Hasan is not Arab, but of course he is of the just put into the category of ethnicity where he is going to be treated differently in mainstream media than his, than white colleagues.
Here in the U.S., food insecurity. I was learning about the Congo.
He
She
is
had just
Muslim.
come back from there, and they asked me if I wanted to have a meeting with her, and I wanted to learn about that. And I just asked, like, what is a day like for kids there? And then she was in Gaza, and she came back, and they said, would you want to meet from her and hear what it's like for kids there? And I was like, definitely. So I heard from her, and I knew she was there, and she was describing what was happening firsthand. And then, of course, I did see the distressing, horrific images online. And of course, certain ones just stick in your head, and you just think about your own children. And so silence wasn't
yes, he is Indian.
a choice for me.
Dare I ask, is there an image that does stick in your head? I interviewed Gary Lineker, who's a very famous footballer in the UK, and not a political person. And he's been speaking out a lot, and he's been criticized for it. And I remember interviewing him, and he said, I just sit on my own sometimes watching videos. I sit and cry, and I thought, wow, this kind of footballer, somebody you see is just very emotional. I just wonder, I know there are things I've seen that I will never be able to unsee since in the last 18 months. I just wonder, was there one particular thing about a child? I don't know. I know you've posted about a lot of individual children.
Definitely.
But before you started posting about children reaching out, I do want to come to some of the children you've connected with. But I'm interested in that moment in those few months after October 7th when our feeds were just crazy. I'm just wondering, as someone who's just an ordinary American, not Miss Rachel, the YouTube creator, was there something that just stopped you in your tracks?
There are multiple that I can't forget. There was a little boy who was really shocked, and he was shaking, and his eyes were there was so much terror in his eyes, and a healthcare worker was being so compassionate, and you see that compassion, and he finally was able to cry because he was just so shocked he couldn't even cry. And then Hindra Job's voice on the phone.
Yes.
I'll never forget. And I know some people can't even listen because it's so hard, and I think that's so understandable, but as just, her voice, and a little boy who was staring at the wall, who had lost his whole family and just was staring. And then there was a child in like a rainbow onesie, and my daughter has a rainbow onesie, and I had to give it away because, you just see that, and it just doesn't make any sense, because as grown-ups, we know what children need and what they deserve and what will help them grow into happy, healthy adults. And it will benefit us all. It's right to speak out because this is wrong, but it's also right to speak out because it's going to benefit everyone.
I'm going to ask you a difficult question.
It is. When you hear someone like Miss Rachel speak, it's so clear, right? It's so clear why the response to these horrors it should be that response, And she is a person who, she's not a political commentator. She is a YouTuber who makes content for kids. And she felt she could not speak out because of how blatantly horrifying the situation is. And it's like, so people who are choosing to ignore it or worse make excuses for it are doing so very intentionally, right? Because the natural response is this. I think that is important to recognize. The natural human response is how Miss Rachel is responding to this. Hin changed me forever. I think, I think there's the totality, and then there's individual stories that I think for a lot of people was like the moment that it broke them, or what was it was the one that they went, I can't stay silent anymore. Like, I have to, this is such a moral outrage of the highest order. Mr. Rogers' torch hasn't been picked up in a long time since he passed away. Nobody had the right grip for it, but Miss Rachel does. And I think we can't understate the impact that Miss Rachel has in speaking out about this. She is a global sensation. There are a lot of not just kids, but parents who follow her, who listen to her, who are being affected by Miss Rachel sharing and talking about what has been happening to children in Gaza, like millions of people. So she is enormously impactful and is responding in a very human way. Be a Sandwich, good morning. Welcome in. Thank you for the 7 months.
I had a friend of mine recently, I was talking to him, and he said his daughter got married and he was at the wedding, and he said, all I could think about at the wedding was we're all enjoying and having great food and what's happening in Gaza, the way they're suffering. And I think about someone like yourself, and I've had the same experience as my wife. We've all had, we go to work, you come home, you think about all the stuff you've been covering. You work with kids. That's literally what you do. You entertain children. You make them laugh. You help them potty train. You see them at their most vulnerable, and you're doing that on YouTube. And then at the same time, you're speaking out and sharing videos and talking about. I think you wished. I saw a post of yours recently where you actually it would have been Hind Rajab's birthday. You're doing that at the same time. I'm just wondering how you're doing both.
It's not easy, but I always think about what's going on over there, and then it becomes just something you have to do. As a teacher, you care about all kids.
Yes.
And
yes.
I think so many years of teaching, you just see them all as so similar. They all love to laugh, and they love to learn, and they love to play, and they deserve to play. And they have human rights, and so you see them as so similar.
You mentioned Hind Rajab, which is one of the most shocking stories of the last 18 months. But you haven't just posted about Hind Rajab. I believe you've been in contact with her mum.
Her mom messaged me. It's crazy that with Instagram, people can message you, and so
I think that's how we.
Yeah, there are kids in Gaza who know Miss Rachel, not because she's speaking out on their behalf, but because they're children, and she is the biggest children entertainer on YouTube. And seeing videos of them looking at her videos and having smiles on their faces is a reminder. It's so crazy that I have to say this, that this is controversial, but these are children, and they are not different because they are Palestinian. They're treated differently because they are Palestinian, but they are not different from other kids because they are born Palestinian. They are human beings. They are children who deserve safety and security and the chance to have a fulfilling life, and one that is not from the moment they are born, only that of extreme horror.
First connected.
Yes, and I was delighted. It's crazy how on Instagram you can connect with moms, and actually little kids message me too. And I had one recently who lost her parents and siblings. She just has grandma.
Where?
Gaza.
In Gaza.
And she sent me a voice memo, and she's like, Miss Rachel, can you stay with me? I don't have my family. And I voice messaged back like, I'm here, of course. You know, thanks for reaching out. And
you shared some pictures on your Instagram
Fucking
of meeting
hell.
with a little girl from Gaza who came to see you.
yes, Rahaf.
Rahaf, tell us about Rahaf.
Rahaf, I wish everyone in the world could meet her. She's so delightful. I gave her some gifts, and I gave her like a box of rings, and right away she put one on me and everybody who was around. She was like, okay, here's one for me. Now I'm going to give one to everybody. She has the best laugh. You know, when your children laugh and their laugh is so cute, and she was squealing. And so like we all started laughing because she was just so cute. And she falls a lot. She has 2 prosthetics, and she falls a lot. And I asked her host family and her mom through a translator, you know, do you guys kind of spot her, or do you just let her fall? Because I know kids love to be independent. We all know kids are like, I want to do it myself, all by myself. Like every kid says that. So they're like, no, just let her run around, and you don't have to spot her or anything. So she would fall like on her face, and then she'd just pop up and want to hop like a bunny. And she was just so precious, and she was a vivid example of how when children have what they need, medical care, healthy food, support, they're going to thrive, and they're so resilient. And then somebody asked her mom what she wanted to say to me, and her mom talked a lot about her mental health improving with the show. And then I was shown pictures and videos of her in Gaza, you know, on a hospital floor, and then her just kind of staring into space, looking down, and you can see the effect on her physical and mental health. And so you see, okay, we know what's not right for children, and now we see what is, and we can see it through images and video of her. And I told her mom, like, she's so bright, and she's just going to do great. Like, she's just, you know, she's so worried about her. And the difficult thing is we're so joyful and hopping like bunnies and laughing so hard. And then Isra, her mom, grabs her phone and has her little boys on FaceTime. And her boys are adorable. I think they're around age 7 and 9. And they're in Gaza, and here I am, like, thinking, like, trying to be sweet and talk to her boys in, like, the Miss Rachel voice, but I'm also like, what if my son was over there and my husband, and then I'm here with my little girl losing her legs? And then I'm thinking about the boys, and I was asking if there's any way they can come here, and this wonderful woman was saying, because I was asking kind of her to, she was translating, and I said, is there any way for them to come here? And she was saying no. And she was saying they don't eat anymore on FaceTime with them. Sorry.
No, it's a horrific situation.
And then the translator, I remembered she had said, like, thank you for seeing our children as human, when I had spoke out before. And so I want those little boys to have everything my little boy has. And their mom's a teacher like me. She's a math teacher.
Wow.
So we're both teachers, and our children are our world. A friend recently told me about a quote from Jewish text, which is every life is a universe. And I wrote that down. I just thought it was so beautiful.
I mean, it's just basic empathy, humanity.
Yeah.
It's crazy that's become controversial.
Yeah.
And you have spoken out about kids in Gaza. I've seen you speak about in Sudan. You mentioned the Congo a moment ago when you first started working with Save the Children.
Thank you for seeing our children as human. Because the reality is that Palestinians and Palestinian children are not being seen as human. They have been dehumanized, and it is why the US war machine, why the state of Israel have been able to do what they've been doing, and the justification that they use, the excuses that they feign. And it, Miss Rachel is showing here the idea of shared humanity, that whether you are a mother in Gaza or a father in Gaza or a child in Gaza, that you are a mother, a father, a child, a human being. And the similarities that she sees between the children that she teaches, the children who watch her YouTube videos, her own children, and those in Gaza, because of that shared connection. And that is what a lot of people are trying to deny. There's that tweet going around, I know, I saw it, of Palestinian kids holding weapons and caption, "Oh, so you think they're innocent?" No, it's psychotic. It's evil of the highest degree to treat Palestinians from birth like they are terror monsters who have to be wiped out. I don't think there's a better person to deliver this message than her. People criticizing her just look insane. They do. I mean, it's like you watch her, you listen to her, and then you read the insanity from Fox News and New York Post, and you're like, oh yeah, no, you're just evil fucks. Sam, thank you for the 3 months. With Extra Whip, thank you for the 3 months.
You've posted about kids from Israel who were taken hostage and killed horrifically. You've posted about all these things, but when you speak out about kids in Gaza, Palestinian children, some people, I should say a minority, go crazy. They think it's somehow controversial, it's divisive. And you said the word humanity. Are Palestinian children less human than other children? Should we care less about them? I don't quite get where the controversy is coming from. What you're doing is just so human.
It's sad that people try to make it controversial when you speak out for children that are facing immeasurable suffering. The largest cohort of child amputees in modern history.
Yeah.
That acronym for a child who has no surviving relatives. And I think it should be controversial to not say anything.
Yes.
You mentioned
yes
silence and how you really need to speak out. It's weird not to speak out. I'm sure you have a lot of good people in your lives, well-meaning friends
Facts.
and family, who are saying to you, just be quiet. It's not worth it. Think about yourself and your career and your family and your safe. Just shh. Don't go there. A lot of celebrities don't say anything about this stuff. What do you say to them?
Well, I say, what would you want someone to do if you were there? Because as a mother, I met Isra, Rahaf's mom, and if I was there and she was here, what would I want her to do? And that's why I want to talk about Rahaf all I can and the boys, because I have empathy. Yeah. And I do also have the peace of God, which our show is not religious. And I just, in my own life, though, I have the peace and strength of God that I feel. And so...
You mean someone whose religious beliefs dictate their morality in a way that is actually becoming of the teachings of Christ, of the teachings of all, religious figures who are not charlatans, who are not using religion for power and wealth. Religious beliefs that tell her, I need to care for my fellow human beings. And you know what I hate? I hate this line of, it's not worth it. Okay. When you have a platform like Miss Rachel, it's not worth it. That is if you have decided that the priority in life is not to care for your fellow humans, but to care only for yourself. And that is a fundamental difference in belief. If you believe in the total spirit of individualism, that I will not say anything that could potentially cause harm to my, to my business, to my following, like as a content creator, don't want to do anything that might cause me to lose followers. Like the idea that for Miss Rachel, someone who has made a platform over her care and love of children, to then not say anything when thousands of children have been murdered and we've seen it happen and continue to suffer and to die, is like, you are asking her then to go against who she is, and like why she decided to do what she did in the first place.
When things are like a roller coaster. I was on the roller coaster of this career, and I was on the roller coaster of the people saying you're wonderful, and then people saying those other things and accusations, and I was on that roller coaster, and I did step off, and now I kind of watch it, and I do feel the peace of God, and I just know what is right, and I just have to.
And
Yes.
yet, there is this kind of bad faith, persistent campaign against you. You've been attacked for speaking out about the children of Gaza. There have been hit pieces in right-wing media. There are some pro-Israel groups who've demanded the DOJ investigate you. I've seen that too, which sounds crazy. I just wonder, how does that make you feel? I mean, I'm used to this, sadly. I've been the subject of many hit pieces. What I do for a living, it's kind of like, it's not nice for anyone, but I'm kind of used to it. When I look at what you're going through, I wonder, it's a whole new world you've been pulled into over the last 18 months. How does that make you feel, you and your family, when you see the crap that's said about you by some bad faith people?
I've been shocked and hurt and scared. And the idea that caring for a group of children in an emergency situation means you don't care about other children is false. And I just don't understand. I just don't understand it. As teachers, I was a New York City public school teacher, and I care about every child in my class. I don't care about half of them because of where they were born. I care about all of them. And if some are in an emergency situation, I'm going to say, let's help them.
Yeah, we ride it dawn.
And it
for
doesn't
Miss
mean
Rachel.
I don't deeply care about all of them.
Every dawn.
And I love learning about their cultures, and something we are taught in education is to have children share their culture and have pride in who they are. And I, as a music teacher, I'm thinking of a concert we did where we did a Hanukkah song, a Jingle Bells type song, Christmas, and we did a Day of Eid song. And the parents in the audience were so happy, and they all felt valued. And that's what teachers do. We love our students. And recently somebody said I was out of my lane for talking about
Kids'
human rights. And I was thinking, I'm an
Miss Rachel, an educator, like the largest child YouTuber, entertainer, not being a child herself, is out of her lane.
educator.
Stay in your
We wanna-
lane. Stay in your lane of like of teaching empathy and like caring for kids.
Kids to have food. Educators, literally, I follow a lot of educators. They are having snacks in their room for kids that don't have food at home. They are getting a hairbrush and they're brushing kids' hair at school.
Yes.
So when I saw the little girl on Instagram who, well, she can't brush her hair because of malnutrition, but we don't, our compassion doesn't have boundaries or borders. We just love kids. And I have connected and sat with a family member of whose family is held hostage right now. And I was moved to tears multiple times. It was horrific and harrowing. And I also put myself, as an empathetic person, I put myself in that situation. And it's just horrible.
I've also seen that you posted about the little Bibas kids who, what happened to them in Gaza, horrific. What do you say to people who say, and again, I don't want to make this sound like there's more than there are, but the small minority of people who want to cause trouble, who say that you're anti-Semitic because you want kids in Gaza to be able to eat and play?
It doesn't make sense. It's not true. I'm against any bigotry. And
Yeah, she made the catastrophic mistake of claiming all children should be protected and provided
I've seen
for.
bigotry. It's horrible, and I'm so against it. The image of Shiri, so terrified holding those boys in like a wrap. That is seared in my mind forever as well. And
Yeah, and I think this goes back to the truth that you cannot keep your own civilians safe when you are a system that is ruling via racial discrimination, when you are actively oppressing another group of people through violent means. Your people will not be kept safe. Like, we have so much historical evidence. We know how this goes. And but this is like a disconnect that a lot of people have. This is a disconnect where it's like, yes, this is horrifying. It is terrifying. There is so much violence. But these are the conditions that have created this violence.
I thought about them all the time. I just can't imagine what Yarden went through and is going through. And just like I said, things can be really divisive, but I focus on helping all kids.
And just on that note then, to wrap up.
I'm sorry I've cried 18 times. I mean, it's a really sad topic.
It is a sad topic, and I'm sorry to be the guy who's taken Miss Rachel away from the happy YouTube. But, as you say, silence is not an option. For those of us who care about humanity, forget the politics. I've
Imagine
interviewed many
hating this
people about the
lady, I
politics
know.
of the Middle East. I have no interest in talking to you about the politics of the Middle East. But I do want to hear from a children's educator and a person who children love. The fact that you're telling me that kids in Gaza are sending you voice memos, that you are looked up to, not just by kids in New York or DC, but kids around the world. And of course, then you're going to speak out for them. That just makes sense. And we admire you for doing so. And I just want to be clear to people watching at home. You've spoken out about Sudan. I know you've posted about Haiti and Mali, right? Again, I'm going to ask the question earlier just to wrap up. Why is it that you feel that you, the YouTube star from New York City, the United States, from Maine...
Because they're genocidal racist freaks. There's the answer.
Why do you feel this urge, and I say this in a good way, I'm glad you do, to speak out for Sudanese kids and Haitian kids, and right now, obviously, the kids who are suffering most in the world, the Gazan kids?
I do think it's a calling from God. When I was little, I used to ask my mom why kids didn't have food, because we'd see those commercials, and I thought maybe there wasn't enough food. And
Yeah, because I have to combat these genocidal racist freaks.
as I've studied world hunger, realizing that there is enough food, I mean, it just doesn't make sense to me. And I've been blessed to have this, to get this platform. And kids feel that I care about them all deeply, and that's why I have the platform, because they feel it through the screen, because it's genuine, and kids know when things aren't genuine.
Yes.
And that care doesn't end with the kids that are watching or any kids. It's just they feel it. And then early childhood educators are always advocating for kids 0 to 3 because of the crucial time of brain development and the effects that will last a lifetime if kids don't have what they need. And then just my heart and my religious beliefs do come into play, with Jesus saying to love every neighbor and that everyone's your neighbor, and that when you do things to the least of these, you do them to him, meaning like, people who are poor and oppressed and suffering.
Give us your poor, you're tired, you're hungry.
That you're using your YouTube platform in
Thank
this way.
you.
And
Thank you so much.
And I'm just going to say
start watching Miss
arrogantly on
Rachel.
behalf of our viewers and
We
subscribers,
all are.
thank you so much. I'm going to speak
Thanks
for
so
everyone
much.
watching and say thank you for speaking out. We need
Yes.
more people to speak out. I appreciate you.
Thank you so much for having me on your wonderful network.
Yeah, I mean, that's why, Miss Rachel on ZTO News versus Miss Rachel on a mainstream outlet, Mehdi is giving her compassion. He is clearly aligned with her morally. He's going to ensure that she gets the space to speak and to exhibit the empathy that many know her to be exhibiting on a daily basis. Who's the rights Miss Rachel? It could be me. I was a teacher, and I can be MAGA. There is not an equivalent. Thank God.